Have you ever wondered if the hardest season of your life might actually be preparing you to become who you were created to be? Most of us never really choose pain, right? We choose something else over fear. We would never choose uncertainty. But sometimes the very thing we would never have asked for becomes the thing that changes us forever. Today's conversation is one of courage, faith, hope, and discovering that purpose isn't lost in the middle of life's hardest moments. Welcome to Big Talk at the Table. I'm your host, Joni Lee, and get ready, pull up a chair, and you're going to join us for a conversation about purpose, possibilities, faith, healing, and becoming who we're created to be. And I am so grateful that you're here. Today's episode has especially meaningful to me. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, it's especially meaningful to me because my guest is not only an incredible young woman with, oh, it's going to make me cry, with an inspiring story, but she just so happens to be my niece, Anna Slattery. Like so many of us, Anna never imagined her life would take the turn that it did. What began as a joy of pregnancy quickly became a journey through fear, uncertainty, and a diagnosis that would test her faith, her strength, and her hope for the future. So she discovered, and you're going to find this out in the podcast today, that sometimes life's hardest lessons, purpose isn't lost, hope isn't gone. And sometimes the experiences that we never choose are the ones that help us become who we're fully created, meant to be. So today, pull up a chair and join us for this powerful conversation, Anna's story. Anna, welcome to Big Talk at the Table. I am so happy you're here, and I am so proud and grateful to call you my niece.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm already gonna cry. What the heck?
That's what this table does.
Oh man.
I know I got a little
emotional. Here. You get some tissues.
Just so you know it's going to be a good episode. We're already bringing out the hankies and right in the beginning, right?
Man, I'm telling you.
So I am so glad you're here. Welcome to the table. You know, I have been traveling and now I'm back, and I'm really excited that we get to do this episode together while I'm here with you. It's kind of a really special and meaningful for me. So I just kind of wanted to jump right in. I didn't want to tell a lot of your story, but I wanted to tell enough to get to people to like get in. But tell me who Anna is.
Well, I don't think I'm that interesting, but I recently became a mom. I got married about a year ago, and that's pretty much everything I've wanted to be in life, is a mom and a wife. And so I feel like this chapter of my life is really bringing out who I have always wanted to be and doing all the things that I've always dreamed of. So that's me in a personality, is being a wife and a mom.
So let's talk about motherhood for a little bit, because that's really why we're having this conversation today. And it really isn't truly just about you wanting to be a mom, but it's kind of how it all happened and what all transpired and all of that. But before we get into that, I want to talk about who you are a mom to.
The best little boy in the whole entire world. His name is Atlas. He's 4.5 months old. He's super chunky. He weighed 8.8 pounds when he was born, 21 inches long. He was a little bit chunker, and now he's double that. So he's even chunkier. He's the best. There's no other way to describe it. I can tell you,
he also likes my singing, just so you know.
He does. He really does.
Backstreet Boys.
Yep, Backstreet Boys. He just loves all the music, and he loves to be sang to, and he's such a good baby. He really is.
Well, he likes Winnie the Pooh, but I don't know the song. I don't know the words to Winnie the Pooh. So I started stringing Backstreet Boys. I don't even know why, but I know the words to that song. So that's what he got.
We got this crinkle book for him at TJ Maxx. I don't even know. We were down in Mississippi. And then, so that brought in listening to the soundtrack of Winnie the Pooh. And he just loved it. So then I learned all the words, and now it's his lullaby. Every time he goes to bed, I have to sing Winnie the Pooh. So now it's just, imprinted in my brain. To automatically sing, anything Winnie the Pooh.
Aunt Jody goes for Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. Well, So
I want to talk about you being a mother and all that kind of transpired into motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to tell you, it's so awesome to see you when you talk about Atlas. Your face lights up, and you can just tell how much you love being a mom. And I want to take you way back to when you first heard or found out that you were going to be a mom. Mm-hmm. What were you kind of experiencing? What kind of emotions were you having?
Nothing but excitement. I mean, I remember the day like it was yesterday. Ryan was working. Usually he works from home. Ryan's my husband. He usually works from home, but he was out doing some things with some of his sales reps that day. And I remember coming home from work and I was just like exhausted and tired and I just didn't know what was going on. And so I decided to test and I did, and it was positive. And I just like instantly broke down, not out of fear, not of anxiety, just I was so happy. This is everything that I've ever prayed about. This is my dreams are coming true. And so I literally could not wait. I ran to the store, got a little onesie, some booties, like all the things. And I set up this little thing on the kitchen table so that when he came home, he would see it. And I tried to record it, but in natural Anna fashion, our heads were cut off. So that video is just like we know what happened, but you can't really see anybody's facial expression. So that was kind of a bummer, but it was the best day. It was the absolute
So
best
take
day.
me from the best day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which sounds
Mm-hmm.
like it was. So take me from the best day to now probably the next one, which is going to be one of the worst days for you.
So I'm going to get a little teary eyed, but it was like June 10th or 11th when we went in for our first ultrasound. And I was probably, I think, 10 weeks at that point. And because we were traveling and doing all the things. So we scheduled the ultrasound when we got back home. And so immediately, we were so excited to see the baby. We didn't know, if it was a female or male yet. We were just so ecstatic to see him. And so we go in there. And the first thing they see is what they thought was a cyst on my right ovary instantly, even before they saw the baby. And I
Now,
remember.
I'll stop you right there.
Yeah.
Had you been feeling anything up into this? Did you have any indication that anything was wrong with you other than just being excited because you were pregnant?
No, I mean, I was tired. I think a week before our ultrasound, I was eating like a few bites of my food and getting so full. And I was just like, well, I'm just, pregnant, even though I was just for trimester and it was just, in my brain, it was probably not true at all, but I was really getting full, like fast. I don't know if it's just hormones or what. So that was the only thing that I had, and, nothing that was on my radar at the time. So I'll bring it up to the doctor.
Just normal.
Yes. Yeah. And this is my first time being pregnant. So I didn't know, everybody's body is different. Everybody reacts to things differently. So I was like, it's not, maybe eating too many carbs, too many, just grains, like stupid stuff, like empty calories essentially. So yeah. I remember going into the doctor and they did an ultrasound, and that's the first thing they saw. Like before they saw the baby, they're like, whoa, what is this? And at the time it was, I think they measured it to be right around 8 to 9 centimeters. So 3 to 4 different ultrasound techs came in to see what this thing was. And so after that, they just did a regular ultrasound to see the baby, make sure everything was looking good. And it was perfect. So then after, we had to stay to talk to one of the OBs. And she was like, when we see these things, it's usually a complex cyst, meaning that it's a ovarian cyst that we will monitor. And if it continues to grow, we may have to, surgically remove it. But if it stays the same, we'll just wait and, see what it looks like. So we went back at, I think it was 12 weeks, and it had gone from 8 centimeters to 12. So that was a pretty big jump for them.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, we're going to monitor in another week and a half and see how it's looking. So that was 12 centimeters, then it jumped to 16. So at this point, I'm probably 12 to 13 weeks pregnant, and they're like, we need to remove this. We can't, because if it keeps growing and the baby keeps growing, there's going to be no room for the baby to grow, so it's going to affect that. And they said the happy sweet spot would be to do it between 13 to 15 weeks because the uterus is still small enough to maneuver around it, because my ovary is right on top of my uterus, so chances of it puncturing or whatever else is very high. So in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to have surgery. I don't want to go because they were talking about doing it laparoscopically, so robotic arms would be the way to do that. And I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have surgery. I don't want to go under anesthesia, because there's no, if something happened to the baby, it would be they couldn't do anything. They couldn't save the baby's life. So I came home, Ryan and I talked. He put Bible verses on sticky notes and just put them about our bathroom window or bathroom mirror. So every time I went to the bathroom, took a shower, got ready for the day, they were there, and I would read them multiple times a day.
Did any one particular one kind of stand out to you more than another?
No, I think, in that moment, I was kind of in autopilot. And so a lot of, it sounds bad to say, but a lot of it is kind of a blur. In my mind, is I don't remember the certain Bible verses he put. I have a picture of them. I don't remember the certain ones because I was just like an autopilot, basically just trying to get through. So then I was talking to Ryan. I said, I would really like to find out the gender. And I didn't tell anybody my fears, but like I had them. I wanted to find out the gender because I didn't know if he was going to make it.
So hold on a second. So
Yeah.
hold on. I want to stop you right there. When you say
Just
I didn't,
rambling.
this is a really important thing. And I think this is where this is going to help so many other women out there. When you say I didn't tell anybody about my fears, what were you fearing? And when you say I didn't tell anybody, do you mean I didn't tell anybody? Like you just didn't speak it at all. You just internalized it all.
Yeah, I did. Because a lot of my family is very, very supportive, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's also like you can't think bad things because then that could happen. You don't want to put it out into existence. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, if I just internalize it, nothing will happen. Everything will be fine and dandy. So I didn't tell my husband Ryan that I had these fears. I just said, hey, I want to go find out what the gender of our baby is. Like, I would love to know as soon as possible.
So would you want to share a couple maybe of your fears that you didn't tell anybody that you had?
I wanted to find out the gender because one, I wanted to know, not that a gender matters, but it was just like a more real thing for me. Like it was more, well, if my baby doesn't make it, I can remember him in some way, not just, a baby. It would be my baby boy. And so I was like, I did not think he was going to make it. I mean, I really, truly did not because, everything you read about anesthesia, it's so powerful. And so when you put that with pregnancy, you just never know. You never know. Essentially, you're putting your body in a state of almost death to not feel pain, to get all these things that you need to get. And it's just like, you don't know what's going to happen. Even grown adults sometimes,
At this point, though, when they're going to do the surgery, they want to operate because the cyst just kept getting larger, correct?
Yep.
And that's all you thought it was at this point, correct?
Yep.
So your fears were just based around basically the surgery and your baby making it through all of that.
And the doctors were talking about removing my right ovary and fallopian tube because of the size of the cyst. So if it was wrapped around, they would have to remove it, which again, I was like, I don't want that to happen. So if I don't tell anybody, it won't happen. It was just in my brain. So, but at this point, they just thought it was a cyst and they were just going to remove it and everything would be, everything is fine. Thank the Lord. But
so let's go through. You're fearing this. You're not saying anything to anybody. What was the switch then that made you decide that I need to have this surgery? I need to have this done?
Well, I always knew that I was going to get it. Because if it had a chance to save my life, it had a chance to save my baby's life, I'm going to do it. I didn't want to, but I always knew from the talk of surgery this is going to happen. If my cyst keeps growing, it needs to happen. There's no, well, let's just wait to see. Like if the doctors say, hey, it's getting way too big and your uterus doesn't have room to grow, all right, let's go. But it was just a terrifying thing for me, but I knew that it was something I'd have to do.
So take me to, you're having the surgery. What happened?
So we found out the gender of Atlas 3 days before surgery. So we had the ultrasound on a Monday and my surgery was on a Thursday. And I have a video of us finding out what he was. And it was it was such a hard day for me because I was so excited, but I was also like, I can't show any of emotion because Ryan is so happy that we're having a boy. And I was just kind of coasting through that day, that week actually, of just, obviously you're having surgery, you're scared, but I don't think anybody knew how terrified I was about losing my baby. Like it was something that would keep me up at night. I was praying about it, reading all the Bible verses, but it was just me and the Lord talking about that. It wasn't like anybody else knew how bad that was hitting me hard. So this morning of surgery comes and, I'm getting ready to go back. I get 2 IVs in each arm. They put me on a lower dose of, anesthesia, I guess, to give, the baby the less chance of feeling all the effects of it. So I don't know how long surgery was. I want to say about an hour. But when I was still under, the doctor came out and talked to my mom and my husband and said, if I knew what this was, I wouldn't have touched it. He said, this is a tumor. He said a lot of these tumors, it's called a germ cell is what he called it. 95% of them are benign. He said, so I'm not concerned about it being cancerous, but I'm going to set it off to pathology anyway. When he took it out, it was 24 centimeters. When it started, it was 8 centimeters, and that was just 5 weeks ago. So, it
was growing rapidly.
Yes, very fast. And who knows how long I had it. The doctors can't even tell you. But I remember waking up in the post-op room, and I was like, is my baby okay? The first thing I could come to mind, think of was, is my baby okay? And they're like, well, we're going to check his heart rate and see. And his heart rate was always in the 140s. 150s. Like it was very, very strong. And I remember 2 different people tried to find it and they couldn't find it. And I was just like, I was alone back there. It was just me. And I was just like broken down. Like I was so sad. And so they took me up to a recovery room and they brought in one of the actual ultrasound machines and not just like a, what do they call it? No, it's just a little heart rate machine, but they brought in a real ultrasound machine and his heart rate was 120. And I was like, this is not his normal heart rate. And it was literally like 3 seconds. Like they just wanted to find it and then they left. So I didn't even have like time to ask questions to see if he was okay. Nothing. They just left. Like, oh, he just wanted to make sure that the heart rate was there. But, it is. We gotta, go see other patients. What do you mean you have to go see other patients? That whole day was so rough for me, seeing my baby's heart rate and it was very, very low. And now they're telling me that I had a tumor, let alone I lost my right ovary and my right fallopian tube. And I was just like hit with all the stuff and I was still not in a good headspace. I have like a 2-inch scar above my belly button and then 4 smaller ones from the robotic arms. And so we got home and about, I think it was like 3 or 4 days later, I thought one of my incisions was infected. So I called the doctor and he's like, well, actually your pathology results came back in and I would love to talk to you about them if you can come in today and we'll check your incision site as well. And I said, okay, wonderful. So Ryan and I were going, we were praying on the way there. I was honestly not very anxious because the chances of it being cancerous are super low. I had just gotten over the hump of the 3-day recovery, so I was feeling, better than I was the last couple days. And so we get there and he's checking my incision site and he goes, but I really need to tell you something. And so he sits down and he goes, your tumor came back malignant. And I was just like, what? Like, I was just dumbfounded. He's like, it's called a dysgerminoma. It's super rare. He said like 5% of people who have germ cell tumors that they're malignant. And he's like, if I knew what this was again, I would not have even touched it. He said, this is a form of ovarian cancer. He said, I tested the fallopian tube and then we also took a ligament that connects the fallopian tube to the uterus. He said that came back negative. So that's a good sign that nothing has spread. So he said, I'm going to send you over to oncologist that specializes in OB. And he said, here, they're going to take care of you from here because there's really nothing that I can do, on my side. I don't even know how to react to this. I just remember he left the room. I broke down. Ryan broke down. Like we were just both crying, holding each other essentially because like I just felt like I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet. So we left and we set up this appointment with the OB oncologist, and this was a couple of weeks away. In those couple of weeks, I was just, I don't know if anything has spread. I don't know if it's on any other organs. Like I have no clue what's going on. So we go into this oncologist and he's super nice, but he's getting ready to retire. So he's like, we're going to test this thing again. We're going to send it to a different pathology lab. He said if it comes back as a pure cell, then we're going to wait to do anything until the baby's born. He said this type of cancer is very responsive. So if we do have to do anything, like I will not be worried to wait until the baby is born. He said, but if it comes back as a multi-cell, that's a whole different ballgame. He said, we'll have to take care of it right now. We'll have to get you on radiation chemo treatment. We're going to have to knock this out of the park.
Yeah.
I waited weeks for that pathology report to come back, like weeks. It took forever. Called every day. They're like, no, it's still not back yet. She's like, we'll call you. I'm like, no, I need to call every day just to see like if it's back yet. Like I was right. And so I remember they called me and they're like, it's a pure cell. So we won't have to see you until the baby is born, but make sure to not disappear on us. Like, all right, then, we're just going to focus on this pregnancy and we're going to take care of this body is the best that we can and make sure that this baby is as strong, as healthy as he needs to be.
So when you found out that it was ovarian cancer, did you start Googling and looking up and so I did the same thing. And I have to tell you, I was absolutely shocked to read that ovarian cancer is usually in older women. It's not diagnosed in somebody as young as you.
Yeah. We went to multiple walks and I was the youngest one there. I met this lady who runs the Tennessee and Teal which is an ovarian cancer organization. We had a very long phone call because she found out about my diagnosis through our fundraiser that you helped me put on last year. And so I met her through that. And so she was like, well, come to one of our walks. We'd love to talk to you, meet you. I was this one there. Everybody was probably over 50. I am so thankful that it was found when it did. Who
Right,
knows?
because you weren't feeling any symptoms. You weren't having any reason to go to the doctor to have
No.
something checked out.
No testing for ovarian cancer. There's none. I mean, you can get cervical checks, but they do all these other checks for cancer, but they don't test for ovarian cancer. There's no testing out there.
Right.
So it's just.
So let's go back, and I want to talk about, what would you tell the Anna back then who was holding all of that fear inside and who was just kind of to yourself? What would you tell that Anna then that you know now?
You're stronger than you think. Because it was hard.
Do you think that you would tell her to internalizing it, holding inside doesn't make it just be okay?
Yes. It's,
right?
Yep, like, that does not work.
And carrying, right.
Don't do that.
Carrying that load yourself is a big load. Because it
almost makes it worse. I mean, you're putting stress on your body, which is essentially putting stress on your baby. Because they're feeling everything you feel. I mean, I get in my head a lot. And so I think that probably did not help at all about, anxiety or being stressed or anything, because.
So I want to tell you something, Anna. I love that you shared that piece, because I have to tell you, we're in two different age brackets, you and I. And what you're speaking to right now is women in general. It doesn't have an age to it. We all do the same thing. It may not have to be about ovarian cancer. It may not be about anything else. But when we have something tragic in our life, we tend to want to do that as women.
Yeah.
And so I'm really glad you said that, because I really think that you can help a lot of people just by speaking that it can happen to anyone at any age, right? And you are stronger than you think. I also feel like having that communication and that openness and that knowing that you have supportive people behind you and being able to speak it out is a huge weight off of your shoulders.
I remember after this whole thing, I was talking to Ryan. I said, do you know really why I wanted to, know the gender of our baby? And so I told him after, surgery and everything was done. And he was like, I had no idea that you were feeling like that. Like, you didn't know our baby was going to survive. Right. And that just really kind of put it in perspective to me again. Like, I should have said something. This is my husband. He is my biggest motivator. He is my biggest protector. Right. And he has never once left my side. So, it just goes to show, like, if you have a community, use them, lean on them, rely on them, because you don't need to carry it all on your own. Even though you're the one going through it, you don't have to do it by yourself.
Right. So I want to also talk about another piece of this, which I find is just absolutely amazing, is that you've gone through all of this, and you also wanted to bring awareness out into the world, into your village, to help other women who might be going through and experiencing the same things. And so what a big undertaking that you wanted to do while you were still pregnant. And I want you to talk a little bit about what you created and what you did and how you want it to impact as it goes forward and moves into this. You created an event and what you want to see it move forward throughout the years.
So I created a fundraiser called Deal for Two, which is essentially ovarian cancer research during pregnancy. And I did it specifically during pregnancy because that's what I went through. And statistics of ovarian cancer during pregnancy are very, very low. There's not really any awareness for ovarian cancer, because there should be, because of its lack of testing. So people have it and they go undiagnosed for years and years and years, and it just, snowballs and develops into this big thing that they are no longer able to get treatment for. They didn't know that they had it, and they could have had it for 20 years, and it's never something that they have even thought of, because they don't know the symptoms. They don't know the signs to look for. There's no testing again. There's no every symptom is totally different. And then when you're pregnant, the symptoms are the same as pregnancy. You get bloated, you have to pee a lot, you have, just you're just uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are all the things that you deal with during pregnancy that wouldn't even make you blink an eye and everything else.
Right, right.
So
How do
that's,
you hope that your story impacts other women?
I hope it impacts women, and I hope that it one day will make the medical community be like, we need to do something to test for this stuff because it is such a danger. It snowballs. It could be a big trifecta where it affects heart, lungs, liver, like any organ that it can implant to, it's going to. So if you catch it early, the rates of you surviving, if you catch it early, are very high.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, the cancer I had was dysgerminoma, and there was a 95% survival rate for it with treatment. It's just awareness. The more people
Yeah.
know, the
Right.
more people can advocate. And
Right. What would you say to a woman today who maybe has been putting off making that appointment?
I would tell them to go get an ultrasound. Advocate for yourself. If you think
Mm-hmm.
something's wrong, you need to, and if somebody won't do it, just keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
Try different doctors, go to different places, and if you talk to the right people, you can know what to look for. Just advocate. Advocate for yourself, advocate for the people you love, and just keep pushing.
Absolutely. And so I know that this has kind of put like a new lease on your life,
Mhm.
and given you a different perspective. And one of the things that I asked you about and you wrote was, and I thought it was awesome, is you wrote, hold on, I want to make sure I get it right, because you wrote something about this being your fourth trimester bakery.
Yes.
So I want to talk about that before we leave. So I want you to explain that to me because I read that. She calls this season her fourth trimester bakery. So tell us where that came from.
So I've always loved to bake. Like always. Like it's just very calming to me, which is weird because I feel like a lot of people who bake are like, this is like very stressful. It brings me peace. I love to create things, especially when you get to eat them after. It's just like the best. So
I
after
agree.
postpartum, I fell into a little bit of postpartum anxiety, which a lot of women do. I need to do something to keep my brain occupied. I need to do something um, that gives me some kind of purpose outside of being a mom now.
Mm-hmm.
And I started up my sourdough business again. And so baking has, in my fourth trimester, which is what postpartum is, has given me a new look on baking, being a mom, being able to multitask things and just balance your emotions and also giving yourself a space to be the best mom you can be.
And so one of my questions that I love to ask everyone is, what brings you joy these days and how did you discover it?
What brings me joy is slow mornings, slow days, because in the chaos of motherhood, having a newborn, which he's not anymore, which is crazy, but it's just you get wrapped up into everyday cycles of just doing the same thing every day. I love to wake up, make my coffee, hang out with my baby, sit on the back porch, and just enjoy the days of him being little because they're going to fly by so fast. And mix up some bread, smell the oven cooking. There's nothing better than that to me right now.
And that's such a great reminder for any woman at any age because it's so true. I know
Mm-hmm.
all of us that are older, that our kids are grown. I look at Atlas and I remember when my kids were that young and now
Yeah,
they're like gone and
I
it's
know. I can't believe he's
those
already almost 5 months old. It's
you
flying
don't
by.
yes, and you don't get those time that time back. So
Mm-mm.
you're absolutely soaking it in. I love that. So I want to kind of just share a little bit something here. When Anna started sourdough, yeah, I was watching her journey and I am not a baker. I'm a cook. I'm not a baker. And
A very good cook, I will say.
but it stressed me out
Mhm.
because baking is a formula. And that stressed me out because cooking, you can just like throw stuff in and it doesn't matter. So I decided to dabble in sourdough a little bit. And so I hit the ground running with it. And I did the same thing that Anna did. I just became obsessed with it. I had a little business before I left into RV life and I called it Raising Joy. And you kind of sparked something. And I hadn't told her this yet, but it was yesterday and I'm watching you try different things. She made a pretzel loaf today. It was amazing, but she's trying all these things and I'm watching her And I'm just watching you with your son and what with this baking, and I'm just seeing joy. Like it's just like oozing out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And it started me thinking back to my sourdough bread raising joy, which really wasn't about sourdough for me. But just so
Yeah.
you know, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up this morning and I'm in the shower. That's where a lot of my great ideas go.
Always.
And I'm in the shower. I've really been trying to like kind of put this podcast in like a neat little box and like, what is
Mm-hmm.
it? And like people ask me all the time, like, what's it about? You know, I'm like, oh, it's about finding your purpose. And people are like, huh?
Yeah,
And
what?
right. And it really isn't about that. It's more about finding your joy.
Mm-hmm.
And so you sparked in me something that I, for the last year on my journey, have been tooling around the country, and I see different things, and I want like sourdough bread. I want to open a bakery. I would love to have a bakery. I would love to own a restaurant. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to do all of these things. And I'm like, you know what? What do I want to be when I grow up? You know what? What if that's what this podcast is about? What if that's what this whole thing is about?
Mm-hmm.
Is, you know what? I want to go do all these experiences and do all of the things. And I want to find out what brings everybody joy,
Yes.
because in your joy lies your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you
And
for
life's too
inspiring me.
short to not do what you want to do. You never know when
Absolutely.
your last day is going to be. That's also been a huge thing the last year of just going through this is like, you never know.
Right.
Do what you want to do in life. Go be
Yes.
happy. Who cares?
I feel like you sparked that in me, so I wanted to thank you. And it's been a pleasure to watch you with your son, and I'm so glad that I've got to spend this time and make the memories. But before we leave,
Mm-hmm.
I do a little segment. It's called Be Honest.
Okay.
And so this is a Be Honest. She does not know the question I'm going to ask her,
Oh, okay.
but I want to know, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Which was worse? Ready?
Okay.
Poopy diapers, pregnancy cravings, or getting up and nighttime feedings?
Well, I don't care about the poopy diapers. The cravings I actually enjoy because I could eat them and not care. Like, nobody would judge me. So I'm going to say nighttime feedings because I am one person that really needs sleep or I am just like crank. And so this whole season of life has really taught me patience. He's not giving you a hard time. He's just having a hard time.
Like that.
But it's just really taught me like stepping into motherhood is you no longer live for yourself. Like you have somebody that's very, very reliant on you. And if your baby's hungry, feed him a bottle.
That one you're going to rank up there as being like not your favorite,
I
right?
will say, yes, it's not my favorite thing. Like, am I going to do it? Yes. Do I enjoy it?
Yes. I love how you tried to skirt around it and you're trying to justify it all. Now, let's just say it's the worst.
No,
okay?
I don't. It is the worst. Yeah,
I would pick poopy diapers because I've already told Anna I'll do a lot of things. I'll sing Backstreet Boys to him. I'll do a lot of things, but I'm not changing a poopy diaper. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here, but I have a couple more things really quick before we leave. Mm-hmm. And I want to know, because your son, I think, is a miracle baby. I think he gave you the miracle of finding out everything and detecting something so early on and being able to like deal with it through the pregnancy. And so what is something that he does that every time he does it, it absolutely just melts your heart?
When he wakes from a nap and he realizes that I'm there and he smiles at me, it melts my heart. It is like the best feeling. Like, it just melts my heart. It's so precious.
If your son watches this episode, maybe 15, 20 years from now, what's one thing that you hope that he knows about his mom?
I hope he knows that I'm forever grateful that he is my son. I know. Like, without him, life could be so different for me.
Right.
So different for me.
So before we close, what's one thing you know for sure?
I know for sure that I love my life, and I took life for granted before my diagnosis. And I know for sure that there's so many things that I want to do and I want to experience and I want to bake. I want to taste all the food in the world. I want to travel and do all the things. That's what I would say.
And you can.
Mm-hmm.
Life is full of endless possibilities.
Life is full, right? And there's so many seasons of life. You go through so many seasons. So I'm just excited for what life has ahead and for the future and watching him grow up and being thankful again that he's here and he saved my life.
Thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank
And
you for having me. I had so much fun.
I know. And before we leave today, the table, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
None of us get to choose every road life that takes us down, but we do get to choose who and how we walk those roads. So if you've been putting something off, whether it's making the appointment, having the conversation, paying attention to something your body has been trying to tell you, let this be your reminder. Take that next step, not out of fear, out of love, because your story is still being written. So thank you, Anna, so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to thank all of you for pulling up a chair with us today. Thank Anna for sharing her heart, her story, and her little things about her son with us today. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from this conversation, it's this. Life may not always take us where we planned, but sometimes the roads we would never choose reveal strength, faith, and joy that we never knew that we had. So until next time, keep leading with love, stay curious, and remember that every road has something to teach us. I'm Joni Lee, and I'm saving you a seat at the table for next time. And remember, you got this.